We really should have enjoyed the second we get out of the car, we're 20 minutes driving out of the car. Yeah, she walked out. Oh, yeah. I was like driving. Does that work for you? Felicia, do you want to sit on one of the just explain. Which one is it here? Sounds right to you? I have a feeling it starts the year right here. Okay, so that's okay. That's the first night. Okay. The first night. Okay. I leave it up like that right there. So let me hold on now 1 second, just let me get Felicia and then First thing she said, right? First thing she said was to start off with this, but then he wants to go, he's going to start at 2 and then go to 1 and then go to 3, if you know what I mean. Quick, say that in my camera. Just want to record that. Okay.
Arona Maidív, agus míle fáilte ó go Harris Glucksman na Héireann, go bhhailm fáilte speisialta ar muintir Harry an Seán agus Barra Philadelphia agus go speisialta Móra ó Donnabhain agus a bhar Cléire Joe Philadelphia. Good evening everybody, welcome to Glucksman Ireland House. I'm delighted to say that Móra Barra O'Donnell's daughter. This is the 14th annual lecture. So nice to have you, Maura, and your husband Joe from Philadelphia. Tory Island, I have been there many times myself. I've been working on the NYU summer program in Dublin, and we visited Tory practically every year since 1998. So, of course, the King was our guide. And what a guide he was. He played the accordion, sang, danced, told stories, and was one of the wittiest spirit people I have ever met, especially in Irish. Sharpest wit I have ever heard. Céad Duine seo a bhí Elan Hari. How many people were on Tory? Quite a few. So, I'm sure most of you met the King Patsy Dan. Yes. Then there being John, yes, of course. Well, it's got to be current small animals go a Dr. Art Hughes Lynn Tashana Donnabhain Art agus is Belfast Rogus Togun Shana agus Versha Kajajash Versha BA agus PhD as Oscar na Donnabhain Malfarste, agus came Maestere as Oscar ran sa rank. Art Hughes got his education at Queen's University Belfast, BA, PhD, and a master's degree from Rennes University in France. He has also been studying Celtic languages and doing research on the literature of those languages for years. He's also been involved in television documentaries, most recently on the BBC October 2017, Martin Luther and the Gaelic World. Sounds interesting. Scotty. Gani smó muine a dhéanú bhhailm an Dr. Art Hughes a chuir an angadíh agus is ábhar bráid do na lig fótú seo art.
Maíú fanna gur bhí
Agus mar dearú Patsy Dan, míle fáilte rópla táid.
Gur bhaid Padraig as an ailse sin na churóm agus Tar Vasagum sin. So this lecture, Barra Donnabhain had a really fantastic idea, Dalty na Gaelic. And so this lecture will be given in Irish and in English, but afterwards you can ask the questions in Irish, English, French, Welsh or Spanish. Well, it's more an honour to say a bheith Aishan Aris Glucksman na Heran Ulscoil nu Arach, maar a chaith mei blian on idir galvílis in ígus a J, mar scholar of Fulbright. Revision, be men dinne Jerna, na yek fibri hort san ait shaw, sol ar harna tragloid van 11. Jimmy Mishas nu Arach an ihe rivray, agus nar hurring them checks an inyerin, hasje me a reiskibel farsje, agus fin a tour a chitchen. What occurred into scanroll arum, agus would be a shul harker encounter hirne a donation. And father me a rais and galvis and knee, na a takia the hort, don't want to know Arach, agus la massa yero, duntil, il chirach, il kultere, il changach, agus il daitche, a hen array, in annual onsi, se kaiher vioga hirri shaw. Ta ard vasagum, aka heilige, in chagas, agus an taija halvata, agus war remach, the tar shul sin institute shaw. A skiel more star and yerenach vericana. Agus a skiel a tala rio before in a omninde. Shin raitje ta tus kelnrodi a churren shaw ignabul exela furnia agus scholarly taije sa chas shaw. Skiel na heron, agus skiel na yerenach vericana. Agus tam da star chromer shaw da scarra on a hele. Is war parcel the dom liet the Donnabhain a horse. Current Corkiach, Barra o Donnabhain, Dalty na Gaelic sa chul, le rear Gaelgori stat inche America. Agus is trahal got a new orc, a fecho listen scheme, juntach ad rearkach shaw a hallum. Ta star na herin, fitche footje sa kacher shaw. Agus okay, so while faste we has a goal the Patrick O'Carroll Marta Anna Burgajo Janta a Patrick Dun Gaelic in the Caher show. So I'm honoured to be back in the Glucksman Ireland House in NYU, where I spent the year between 2009 and 10 on a Fulbright scholarship. Previously, I was the final one to give a public lecture in the place before the 9/11 tragedy occurred. I left New York on the previous night, and when the plane landed in Ireland, by the time I travelled back to Belfast, the pictures of the towers on the TV were being shown. I felt something shocking deep inside me, as I'd been walking around the same area on the Sunday previous. And one main reason why I came back to the Fulbright in 2009 was to show support for the citizens of New York, and to respect the cosmopolitan, multicultural, multilingual and colourful life that goes on in this city despite any ghastly attacks. And this city will all be vibrant, all be colourful, and it's an eternal city in many ways. I had the great appreciation in particular for the teaching and research of the talented, cutting-edge scholars in this institution. The history of Irish America is a phenomenal story, yet it remains a story to be recounted as a whole. Undoubtedly, the various staff members and research scholars in Glucksman House are heroically pioneering in their sustained efforts to illuminate the story of Ireland, its history, literature, language, culture and music, and of course the history of the Irish American. And indeed, these two important histories are in many respects inseparable. It is a great personal honour to give the Donnabhain Memorial Lecture. Barra Donnabhain was a native of West Cork, and one of his finest achievements was the establishment of an Irish-speaking movement in the US of the Irish language students, Donnabhain na Gaeilge. He organised to provide Irish and Irish American speakers of the language a platform. It is highly appropriate that New York was the centre to launch this far-sighted and worthwhile scheme. The history of Ireland is embedded in this city. In 1800, there were 8.5 million people living in Ireland. And I would estimate that Irish was spoken by more than 4 million people at this time. But the Great Famine of 1847, where more than 1 million people died from starvation, and more than 1 million of our people went overseas. And if we look at the census figures for New York, we can see the direct link between Ireland and New York. So you can see here, 1840, there are about 227,000 people here. And look at that figure by 1870. Like more than 1 million come in. And in New York, at 1870, 1 in every 4th person was an Irish person. And I would reckon that 1 in every 8 or 10 of people in this city at that time were Irish speakers. So we probably had, I would say, somewhere in the region of over 100,000 Gaelic speakers in New York at that time. So the Irish language is not directly relevant to your current life. It may have been central to your family history, and it can definitely be part of your future. The Irish language represents a wonderful opportunity to get to connect with your native home and your cultural roots. That is why I hold the efforts and far-sightedness of Barra Donnabhain in such high regard. I am fairly convinced that the Irish American can have a great role to play in the success and promotion of Irish. If there are Hebrew and Greek schools in the US, why not have Gaelic schools? A word, of course, would not be out of place in regards to Patrick O'Carroll from Gweedore, who's been an Irish lecturer here at the house, and a man who spent his life promoting the Irish language in New York in an exciting, meaningful way. And I feel therefore extremely comfortable and optimistic in the city because of the work that has been undertaken by people like Barra Donnabhain and like Patrick O'Carroll. People who have been to the forefront in vigorously promoting the Irish in this city. The story of the Irish language is associated with us all. It's in our DNA. Now tonight's talk will focus on the Gaeltacht and that of Tory Island. So you can see here, this slide here. So Tory here is off the northwest coast of Ireland, it's about 9 miles. And let me stop something. There's no potty in there. Right. So, Tory Island is situated in the parish of Cloughaneely in County Donegal in the northwest of Ireland. It's 9 miles out to sea, and it's only about 3 miles long and about half a mile wide. For the past few hundred years, people from Tory had made a living from fishing, farming, and seasonal work in Scotland, where men of the island went over to save the harvest in Scotland. And Kevin O'Donnell wrote in about 1969, yeah, if you just go to that one there, yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, so there was no hope of winning a livelihood from the land or the sea, and it has been for many years customary that some or all of the men of the family spend a good half of the year away from their homes as migratory labourers in the east of Ireland or England or Scotland. And the wages they brought home, although amounted to only £8 or £10 each, which is about $12, meant the difference between starvation and survival for them and their families. Thus, it appears that 75 years ago, life in the Gaeltacht was at best poor, while at worst a step removed from utter destitution. So this would have been about 1900. Now, if we see here, there's Tory there, and when you come in here, here's West Town where the boat comes in, and here's Barra here, East Town. But you can see then that really, you know, it's these two small little villages really, and the rest is quite rugged. So, tá Tory no Ellen Harry, sitje a barisje plogenile, a gundi gunangal, an ear huiskert na her. Tan tilan ni mile a warige, a mahan koste, agus 3 vile fad, agus hart van ja vile jehe. De compliceerd blienen was, wie nadini bio om een jesgeracht, een jermiracht, agus ober heshera en alpen. She shin nur Jimmy Fir on elan anon ga halpen, leshin ona hawen, agus mar agus Willemich and not a George Damager. Now, as regards the population of Tory, no, just the one there with the yeah, that's only my hope. Between about 330 and 400 people lived in Tory during the 19th century. And in the 20th century, between 1900 and 1981, the population fluctuated between about 335 to 208 people. And in chapter 14 of the book, the mass exodus, which happened around 1980, is discussed because 130 people left Tory at that point. And that was a tipping point. That could have been the end of life. And when an island does die, a lot of cultural association sadly perishes with it. So he déanaid de Jerry in the figure o nihu kiad jeg gumio at their tree kiad trucha agus kerkiad bio edari lilin in headshin. Agus nihu hish chiher grow at their tree kiad trucha kuigus ga kiad. Agus pleasure and chippak more a hardly no hovergum manihan at your fad eganamshin. So now Gaelic speaking in Tory. The Irish language, or Gaelic, was the main language on the island when Patsy Dan arrived. And although his new father Dan spoke some English, Dan's wife Bridge didn't speak any English, so Irish would have been the language of the home. So being Gaelic príomh hangi in the line ag chatdom da Patsy Dan, agus kegru bagan Barra ag ahar uair Dan, you Barra be ag biddy. Agus the warshin Gaelic of ma hangi aku, agus ishin agus fastenese. So yeah, you're going there, yeah. Hi, and the cliffs there. Yeah. Okay, so now Tory has been inhabited for quite some time, and the Book of Invasions of Ireland, there's a reference to Balor, the king of the Fomorians, and that's the earliest reference to Torach. It probably means Torach, the towered one or the stacked one, as you can see here, these stacks. So this probably was what the name gave its name to. So it's Kosovo Benchik Balor na Sula Nive Litari, Agus Martin Yevnian and Loganyam Doom Balor, Agus Karen Patsy Shees or Cotton Chanahas, and when it's the Balor, Agus the Was in Nunluiche. And the next big figure here, that's okay there, yeah, is St. Columkill. So a separate chapter is set aside for St. Columkill, the island's patron saint, who was born in 1521 in Garton in County Donegal, and who died in Iona in Scotland in 597. St. Columkill is a highly significant personage for Tory and Gaelic Ulster in general. From the standpoint of history of Gaelic letters, the ancient poem Alvra Columkille, the miracle of Columkill, a eulogy written by Dallan, is our earliest extant text which survives in Old Irish. And this was this eulogy, and it's one of our earliest poems we have in the Gaelic tradition. Now, we also have Adamnan, who was born in 7 Little Adam, or Unan. He was the 9th abbot of Iona, and he wrote the Vita Sancti Columbae, the Latin life of St. Columkill. And Union, of course, survives in St Eunan's Cathedral in Letterkenny. That goes back to Union. But it's a great pity that he didn't write this life in Old Irish, because it would have been so valuable to have had that lengthy text in Old Irish at that time. And of course, later on in 1532, the Donegal chieftain Manus O'Donnell, who died in 1563, wrote Behe Colum Killie, St Columbkille's life. And he is also the patron of Derry City. But the Gaels of Donegal had a great devotion to him. And Tory Islanders, of course, had a particular affiliation with him, owing to the fact that Columkill founded a church on the island on his own day. And that's one of the most striking landmarks here. You can see the tower at Tory and Cleagha. So, Kircher Shees, Niamh Columkille, Niamh Factrum na Nilain, Arrogo, Sevlian, Kuikid Fiahain, and Nartan Agundigunangal. Agus a four Basin, Ni and Alban, and Kuikid Nosa Shaft. Ta an Tawa the Bunt Lid Columkille to Hurry, agus the Kuiga Old Gala. Agus in Texas, Louisha or Marstons a Chan Gaelic na, and Dan Was Columkille a Screw Dalam. Vi Farallon Adavnan and Neo Hab in E, agus Screw Session Behe Columkille in Saladi. Bastunangal Adavnan agus Noya Ard Aglish that your canon, Niamh Una no Niamh Adavnan at our shin. Now, if we just then go to Patsy Dan himself, and I very much appreciate Padraig's very kind words about Patsy at the opening. I couldn't have expressed it better myself, but few citizens of Tory Island today can boast of the high renown enjoyed by Patsy Dan Rogers, King of Tory. He was widely known and recognised throughout the country and further afield. And in this book, an attempt was made to provide the reader with an account of his life and the events therein. I mean, basically, Patsy King was like art. I can't. Look, Patsy wrote some English. He spoke Gaelic fluently, but he couldn't write Gaelic. And he said, "Will you help me?" So after about 2 seconds delay, he says, "Okay, well, and then we embarked upon this. And it's kind of very hard, it's like having a big block of stone, and you've got to try and carve out, some. It's obviously like, the best, what's that one, let's start at the very beginning. It's a very good place to start. So we started then with his birth and stuff, and the elephant in the room, the whole thing, and then we moved on then to the farming, the fishing, then his music, the artwork, then the social activism that the island wouldn't be abandoned, and then being king, so like he had a very checkered, colourful and action-packed career. What we did was we did these interviews in English, so it was like the most sustained interview I've done in my life, like, and probably the most one of the most rewarding. And I was so glad to be able to put the book into Patsy's hands before he sadly passed away. I was sweating, can't look at this done in time, but luckily we had about 10 months together going on and launching it and stuff, and we've lost a massive character here. So now Patsy's life is certainly not dull or dreary, packed with incident and variety. He was adopted at 4 years of age into the house of Dan and Breed Rogers in Westtown, Tory. And it was only in manhood that Patsy fully understood that he'd been born in Dublin and he had a birth mother and father on the mainland. So Patsy goes in search of his birth mother in chapter 1, but his search draws a blank. The church authorities, were not very forthcoming, are mindful of people's, inner angst and their rights and entitlement, really, to find out, who their birth parents were. But despite this great injustice done to Patsy, the information about his birth parents were held from him. I'm grateful to him for the honest and earnest manner in which he shares his thoughts with us in this matter. Now, Patsy was reared every bit as caringly and lovingly as any other child of his generation in Tory, and you can see here, he's there as a wee barefoot, 4-year-old coming in to the island and being cosseted there by a lot of the neighbours. Now, Okay then, so okay, so now Patsy was reared, but then I spoke to this woman called Mary. Her brother Anton Meenan's the artist, but Mary Meenan says when Patsy came in at the start, he couldn't speak any Gaelic, and he came to school, and says he came out with the occasional bits of English for a long while. He sat beside me at school. On his first day at school, he had no cup for his cocoa. We used to have cocoa made for us in school. I felt the pity of him because he only spoke English and he couldn't speak Irish. And he asked me, and he said if I would give him the cup so he could get his cocoa. And he said, when I'm a big boy, I'll buy you a present. So, and you know, so Patsy then grew up at sea. He was fishing with Dan on the land, much more fishing than maybe agriculture. But this apprenticeship is outlined. Now, it's here's there's Dan. Sorry, here's Dan, his father there, and there's Patsy and Dan out there in the curragh fishing there. So it's about saving at the Coach Harry. It's a lot of time you want our order to August Kainger August be your fatty down with Rudy. The Eichner or Yahan Yehida error for the cheater, August needs for you again. August so your sovereign you eat out scale August after a heel occur as core and yeher. It's zoveel Afrisch fatty hen a higgin yagan Gaelic and scale and bun yagan. August is an eation Kerme hen bear, so we make screel gal or the feeling you. Can I wine and get a header? Should copy and paste and then took it into English. But it's good for proofreading because then when you were doing you could spot any mistakes you made in the original. So, ni seal laterna, yaw would be a patsy, a seal of acting act of this exo like the witness. Toger altermus gatari, and nisha Caramian, the chat down like his feet for Rory or Walla here, Edari. And Ishan year, Teguda, Guru, Clan, and Walla clear again, after spug avi the fight again. I guess it's more than Naira, Shin Valak Maratasabi, for the Lord and the Kursi Adams the Shaw in year, and a place the year, a Sullivan Golden Nation heart. Now, let me just go to the next one. Yeah. So, for Patsy Tolgile, my lesson being August. Smile and compass back shower the skull again. There's really meaning be caught up in there like it become Tamil Chaplin. We should heal him a who's or the skull. The kid lad we share the skull had a copper baby for your cocoa. The grand cocoa by again or a skull. Ridden man true a dog because we bear the again a Gaelic behavior. Agus Kershay Kesh on himself. Agus dirt Michigan during a couple of dollars cocoa eye. Agus dirt there was Michigan Stalka can have company stage. So, in chat, made that tough fatsy, being murdered was cheer, the way Marchud Larna, that who, Agus, Dan, he and his father had very poor eyesight, but he still managed to make 4 currachs. And there's great tales of Patsy, and being told to lean over the boat and look down this little sea channel. Now, and there's Patsy there as a kind of teenager there going up, and there's good, there's Gidor. Boasts of 2 Patrick O'Carrolls. We've got Patrick O'Carroll here in Ireland House, and of course, one Patrick O'Carroll is not sufficient, so we've got another guy, Patrick O'Carroll from Peter, who brought up with Patsy, and he gave me a lot of good photographs, but they were very.
Cousins.
Yes.
Cousins.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, keeping in the family here, Patrick. You know. Now, but the next thing now, if you just go to this one, very cool. So. Tory Island is closely associated with art, and that is the subject rather than the gentleman addressing you here. But there can be little doubt that as far as painting is concerned, Derrick Hill was to change the destiny of Tory. Now Arthur Derrick Hill was born in Southampton in England in 1916, and in addition to art he worked on the continent as a theatre designer and historian, subjects he undertook as part of his studies in Munich as a 17-year-old. He spent time in Paris, Vienna, Moscow, Japan, China, Bali, Siam. So this guy was a world topper. And it was only when Hill hired a mill in the Loire Valley in France that he really took up painting seriously. And when he returned to England at the outbreak of the Second World War, he was a conscientious objector and was put to farming rather than to soldiery. But he was all the while establishing a reputation for himself as a portrait artist, and spent a few terms as director of the British School in Rome. And if we look here, this is now any Tabasco sauce fans here. This is the Irish-American art collector Henry McElhinney. Now he first invited Hill to Donegal because McElhinney was working in the American College at Rome at the same time Hill was in the British School. And he invited him to Glenveigh Castle in Donegal, and in '54 Hill bought appropriately enough, the St Columbkille's Rectory in Churchill, which is now a museum. And if you in Donegal on a rainy day, and let's face it, like that's going to be the chances. You should get yourselves along to this museum. It's about €5, and they've got Picasso's in there. They've got nano reeds. It's a wonderful, wonderful, a great gift that he's left to the Irish nation. And I would say it's probably one of my top 5 places to visit in Ireland. So if you're there in Donegal, get along to the Glebe Gallery. Hill painted the Queen Mother, Prince Charles. He was the time when Batten was going up in Sligo. Hill was staying that weekend, but was going to Ballyshannon to pick up a prize. An amazing man, an amazing life, you know. Now, so not only did Derek Hill spent time in Churchill, but he also used to pay an annual visit to Tory Island. And Derek Hill's generosity was, manifested with this wonderful gift to the Irish state. All his paintings, collections are all there. But Father Oda Cullum, who wrote a book, Tory in the Dun, Tory of the Wave, said, the day Hill landed in Tory, he understood that his searching was over. He found solace and a peace of mind that little expected to find there. So to Chandlemore, either Harry, Tory, agus in Yali, agus chur Derek Hill car a Gidwinch Harry, o heed na pincher at the day. Ruggo Hill in Southampton and Sasson, agus Comoilis in Yali, Debershay or in Wardren, agus being Doan Schulte Iggy. Paris, Wien, Moscow, Champagne, Sheen, agus Bali. It's now a Glakshay, Shan Woolen, Berkis, Loire Valley, in Yan Loire. Gurlisha Shanlish and Finchera in Nigeria. Axon Shin, Marajurnum, Nurvisha Roy, Woolshay le McElhinney. Agus Kershin, Vishin le Cor a Her Edgar and Charlie Mark. Kershay Tory are on the map, but he Finchera at the Patsy Dan, Rory McRory, Anton Meenan. Because World War Akko Shin, Rin Hill an upper Gajo and Shin. Agus, if you just go to the next one here now. So, you can see here that here's the house then. There's Glenveigh, which McElhinney had. And then this is the house which Derek Hill bought. And this now is a museum, and it's really, like, to me, it's one of the top spots to visit in Ireland. Now, Seamus O'Deacon, no Jimmy Gunnahy Owen, fire for Bassam he gets shot wall. Shannon Cade, Blue Cards, a Hog Hill, a Derry. The Andihana Sna Shatwaji, never Hog Shen School, a Wehas, Masfear, the Hanahas, the Nillanach, Dun Chatwaller, Vinsha, a Derry Hill, and Akala K. Harry. Arundona Kinnashin. Spinter Sail agus Kaidru Derry Kill agus Hemishi Vihan the Hele, a Gabriel and Need and Yor, agus Ram Jim Hunter, Uder and Yor, Tonti Harry, and Mazel Yanis, Jinch Derek Hildu, Martin Wine, Gerfincher, Eshkabdul Farage A, Shemus O'Deacon. Near of all da Alienter be Ille, a Jukulish Conturch, Room Jivarat, agus Dibnat na Farige, a Curtis Corusur, Marianne Shemus. So, there's a great, just go ahead now. There's a great story then of, this is one of Hill's. So Hill, like, he was a very, very, as you can see here, a very, very accomplished painter. And then he got up, even the plain earth, he'd have had like weights on the canvas, howling wind, and he was a. I remember seeing him on Tory once with these, like they weren't ordinary corduroys, they were these like the old money corduroy. This was like, must have been like about 600 quid's worth on him, you know. He looked the part, and when he came to Tory, they took him around everywhere in the back of a tractor, and he was like in the absence of the Rolls Royce, you know. But he was certainly very much fettered there. Now, James Dixon was the first to have a close friendship with Hill, and there's a great story that the first morning when Hill was there, he was down painting. He didn't go to mass, so he was sitting there painting this view of the mainland from Tory, and he just got the waft of this tobacco smoke, you know. And he looked around, and there was James Dixon, and Hill goes, "Well, what do you think?" He says, "I'll get you better myself." And I said, "Well, my fair friend," he says, "Look, I'm going to send you canvas, and I'm going to send you easel, and I'm going to send you paints, and I'm going to send you brushes." He said, "I don't want to sound rude. You send the easel, you can send the canvas, you can send the paints, but don't send me any brushes. I've got a donkey there, and I cut its tail twice a year." You know? So, shouldn't eat that very fast. So, now, and if you see, now, one of the guys who faced me, this is a portrait of Jimmy the Yank McRory. This man, I think he was in New York, and he met a German, and you know, and they got friendly. And you can see here, like, the body of work from Jimmy the Yank really is quite small. There's about 6 or 8 survive, but you can see really, it's almost, you know, the guy from England does the matchsticks dogs, and you know Lowry, yes, you can see that. But he was an amazing character, and I just think that the capture here on this portrait really, like, just shows you what you know. I mean, just the capture was amazing, and so that was Jimmy the Yank by and then if you go on ahead and just see. And then here's the good man himself, James Dixon. Now, camp rich bliento and Giolo, the painting the coach Hill, agus painting the coach James Dixon, agus Curtis Shaw, Arrogant is Mo, the painting the coach Dixon, number Curtis Shaw the Hill. So a couple of years ago at an auction, it happened that there was a lot by James Dixon and one by Derek Hill. And the Dixon fetched more than the Derek. Well, Patsy was saying, like, he'd be in the house, he'd be starting to paint, and he goes, "Take Egyptian," and he says, "What is it?" And then he would throw them out of the house if they couldn't recognise what he was painting, you know. And he also like stuffed rabbits and stuff. But you can see here, like Hill was a really master portrait. And if you just come along here, then you can see here, these are some of the paintings which, and it's almost like, you know, it's almost like he's got a seagull's mind's eye or something, you know. But he was a naive painter, but like that painting in particular there, you know, the one of the white waves and the houses, like, it's an amazing kind of aerial, like pre-drone aerial view of Tory Island. And Dixon was a major. That's one of the big achievements of Derek Hill, was to start the school of painting in Tory. So, but we're not aimed at the young. Painter at and skull painter at the shop, of course, in Julmar. Could you shake a war in Ellen the Arj Haring shared? Agus the Dini chat the Shahabeako, Agus Ariga the Hebrew. Now, if you come along here, then, this woman here now is a very interesting woman. This is Dorothy Harrison Turman, who was born in 1917 in the States. Now, she left her unique legacy to the Islanders in this book, Stories from Tory Island. At some point, I'd like to study the English. She didn't speak any Gaelic, but the English reflects a lot of Gaelic idiom. So it's a wonderful, unique little collection here. And she would, and it's quite kind of amazing because her friendship between herself and Patsy included at one point Patsy recording sound from Tory on his tape recorder, like seagulls' cries, the waves, the lowing of cattle. And it's almost reminiscent of a scene from the Michael Radford 1994 Italian film Il Postino, The Postman, where the local postman also records sounds from his locality for the Chilean poet Pablo Neruda, who won the Nobel Prize in 1971. So, Dagan Mary Cana Shaw, Dorothy Harrison Terman, a Hoa Tianigan Ilan, then a lower Scalta as Tarry. Comtas Vale, a Crinishi, O, one of Harry, Agus E, a Shul Heart, but an Ilan. As lower similarly, Agus Chimich and Shin, go, one of the big things is the town cross here. That's one of the big I'd say the Cleigha, the Tower of Columkill, and the town cross. So it's a Coptic cross. There's only one else, a partial one somewhere in County Clare, I think, but only two in Ireland. But this is a kind of, it just sums up the big uniqueness of Tardy. So Sean Nish cut in the paintings of a Patsy Hay, Dickinson and Chain Brack. It's the speckled bird. The Tory for puffin is and Chain Brack. And of course Patsy's one was and Prabhan Spade for the helicopter. You know, the bouncy one in the sky, you know, it's great, you know, we had some great sessions together. And then there's Tory by night there, so Shin Tory Siniha Dickinson, Kashikut August and Shin, and Cleighat and Shin. It's in Columkill Star. See, think about it in Columkill, Derry's walls. The English, Columkill, the O'Donnells used to walk round with the battle reliquary of Columkill, Cahat Columkill. And the English dismantled Templemore and Derry, Douglas, and they made Derry's walls from it. So they had this, like they gave this amazing faith in Columkill, and the English saw this as a way to try and to destroy. So the only thing that remains in Tory, the church was destroyed, but thankfully the tower still remains. Now, so Shin Patsy here is going in. Here then is in Ballahir, East Town. When you walk to the other end of the island there, and your man there, Eamon Grania, Rory, and you just go along here with some more, and then there's Patsy there, you know, and you can see there, like, so this is like Tory in the distance there. You can see the lighthouse. Then you can see Ballahir, and you can see Ballahir, you know, and just go ahead then. And then this painter here, Anton Meenan, is a very kind of more classical painter. I was lucky enough to buy a few of Anton when I was there. This is a little landscape I bought. But you can see Anton, Patsy's got this naive style, Anton's got this very cultured, kind of classical, representational art style. So, kind of genius classic-y figure, Anton Meenan. And then, go ahead, yeah. And then there's another painter called Rory McRory, and it's quite photographic representation, but you can see there Rory. I was going to buy a couple of pieces of Rory as well. I wonder if they became the next king. I'd stick my money in Rory McRory, but I couldn't comment. So, and this is the hut where Hill, Shaw Bohan Derrick Hill. Now, this was built by Lloyds, because Torry's the last land in Europe before going to America, and the first one you see. So it was a semaphore station, and there was a cable onto the sea to Donnabhain, and they were sent these signals up. Do you know what I mean? So this was this kind of outpost. But then Hill with his connections got this, and then Patsy would bring him up, you know, the man that's here, take him up these eggs and these fish, and you know, and there was one night he was saying that the Hill is steel. Agus holy shit, Tarwan Lufus shop. Agus Tara Chatham and Warwa. Agus the pull into Wahan. Agus could they be on at Kui Kure, Agus Gar right here, Agus Dar right here trench. So Hill went up there, and you know, he had this little, you know, like, you know, the typical English school, public school boy, you know, his little Swiss knife, his little torch, all this stuff. And about 3 in the morning, he hears this racket. He said, God, someone's coming to kill me. But it was there was a little hut here, and we were meant to put this grid over it, but the grid wasn't on, and there was 2 rams and 5 sheep under the floorboards, and the rams were fighting over the sheep, and the horns were banging up, you know, into the room there. So that and then there's a few paintings that I myself did over in Tory. There's a very famous Tory song, Bodging Enemy, Jimmy Gatari, and then Shin Bana Hari and Shin. So you can see there. And then No, I'm going to see there. Yeah, is that what I'm saying? Next in the pie. Oh, yes. Now, this one here, you know, Shaw Blad, cabin fever truth. And what you should never do is, you should never change the name of a boat. And in fact, my friend, Professor John Macmillan, he helped me lay the book out. But John, his father was on the boat in the Suez Canal and was drowned on a boat that had its names changed. So like near Heritage, Anion Badge, Ahu or Harrogate. But this, of course, like, when do they come? Friday the 13th. You know, chapter 13 is, you know, about shipwrecks and stuff. So they come with the RTE crew, and then this boat gets wrecked on the wrecked on the wreck. So this was like and Patsy, and then, you know, there's a great account of it, you know, and they're all the Tory Island were going over to the west side towards the lighthouse. And there's no man like this as well. You'll not see a board of her by 5 o'clock this afternoon. And then bag it was, so it's a very treacherous, Tory side is a very treacherous stretch of water. Now, but Shannock on the Daddy, being a Cochinig and Nadigan. So Harlager, Ellen, Bag, E. Taddy, a Tamwis and Yagan Atlanta, Nihinu, Nask, Liger, at their public in the line of Sanadigan. Honnicus a gabber to the tree, and Yasu win Bono Harias, Mitis the Mara, Lishin Yiskara. A few in Oran the Skadan, Kircher and Mule doing, and cheer comforts of Winus the Sail and Yiskara, August Talina Ari has a versa shaw. I will fear in a heary inch. August Yule Shagrim or Agnew, Gach Yiskara, a Chayo Hill, Lishin a Milcha Blianus, or board Sahi Vig, or War Tinya, Fud Fad the Krinya. Nurahiam Kushna Chinu, Bemis Muju or Anam. A Roma Hains Machrabag, and we your war na done. It's Ganither me as a chiriat, a ched that tani tar, it cost no be his farige, Masgena in the done. So there's a proverb in Tory which the sea has its own. Now, given that Tory is a small island out in the Atlantic, it's hardly surprising there's been a strong bond between the island and the sea. Now, in chapter 3 of the book, we explore the whole fishing, the lobster stuff, the herring stuff, and the baland, the wrasse, and the benefit that the Tory Islanders enjoyed from the largesse of the sea. But there's I suppose, like everybody knows Bajanelemy, but I suppose, like, if Tory has a national anthem, it has to be Oran the Skada, this herring song, and this was composed by an islander called Eamon Dooley. And the eternal dangers that accompany the life of a fisherman. There's a line in the verse which contains an eternal truth and which must surely strike a chord in the mind of every fisherman who's ever spent his life throughout history, throughout the world, on a fragile little craft on the undulating wave tops over the world. And he says, when I sit by the fire, I think about the time when myself and my little currach were out on top of the waves. The only thing between myself and eternity was the thin, tarred hide. Now, I think that someone even like Hemingway would surely have been proud of a line like that as a grace note to his great book, you know, The Old Man and the Sea. Now, we used to hear Gedanik Eamon Dooley Slam, agus Gold Shinnog Ninish and Toranshin. Now, if you just go ahead. So, now, come to the tree, Jay. Shin long brishu a hard and higlums a gat long brishu a horch a hard a daddy. But the cabin fever one, the RTE boat, was a big one. And this one here then, in 1884, we had the Wasp. Now, the Patsik introduction, Gedanik Sajri Hasna Shakatari, it's been Sabbath law for Martin Luberlik Bono in the line. Agus no Gaelic in the Sajri. Agus Dutch the Sajri look, Tan Chirna Dalo, Chirna Talo, Viaha, Agus Kaiser and Kiesig. Agus, well, Newmatin got a Kieser B, Martin in the Kiesoggy, but the Chucky Virginia Rice, the bad more. agus very much Yakut in the line, a Mahnin, a Kate Turris, agus very much Jero Mahas in the line, and Darna Turris. Well, do it, will be Virginia Ray from her gunny. Marby, whether go cloth no malacht, agus Hughes in the tell agus nor a Hannick and watch in a year. The even Dooley and Jahat Tolstoy, she sent Skradach, Dini Ash in the Fuilibi, but nor a Huish in the Ma, the Chesser side to the Hannick Slan, but for the Scorty and the Boss or the Quite. So, this here is the HMS Wasp. And in the 1880s, three British army officers came to Tory Island, and the priest had to act as their interpreter. And the boy said, well, you know, what do the army want? Said, well, the landlord's in debt, and you're going to have to, you know, fork out for the rent. And I said, well, look, we are paying the rent, we haven't got the money. I said, well, we're going to come back with a large vessel, and we're going to take half the islanders off on the first trip, and the second half off on the second trip. And they said, well, don't worry, we'll be ready for you. And they had this thing called the Cursing Stone. And they walked the island 3 mornings barefoot, and they placed this curse. And then this man, Dooley, in Tory Lighthouse, you're always a local man working with the full-time crew. And about 3 or 4 in the morning, Dooley says, geez, I think that's human voices crying. And he said, oh no, that's just the seagulls. And when they got out, 6 of the crew were climbing over the outer wall of the lighthouse, and there's scores of them were drowned on the boat. And then a woman then came, a redheaded woman came to the island looking for this cursing stone, and she said, my mother left me the house and my brother the land, and he's took both, and I want the cursing stone. So the priest then sent her packing, and then the cursing stone was still was buried through over the cliff. But for Sugar Huel, the cloth no malach could be. So that was a very interesting. Now, one of the big things of Patsy's life was that in the 70s there was talk of abandoning Tory Island totally. And this is where I think that Patsy, he's known as a musician, as an artist, as a raconteur, but I think we've also got to give him tribute as a very driven and a very successful social activist, because really the whole place could have been abandoned. Now, the concerts is dar Harry agus seal feisty sin nuair idir seachtó sa ceartas ochto go nimmeho gá céad seachtó ilena hamach go tír mór tíra mar rin nochad ilena as inis go finne mar bhí aspa infrastructure gantan is a nesti acta G servicey a chuirteach go mór ar phobal da Ilan seo. Sna blianta sin ní rud forras cinnear dhéanam idir imachtas tarí nó fantas tí. Dúir cadning ban fatsaí dom, gro si híana pléin na ceisiil na hahar agus go ruit an tahar leie a ní má harnian tosan darasin na dhé ní osclaí tú a rís go bracha agus an sin hocker cadling ar anacht. Bhí me tí bhí ban an bríd ná tóga bríd agus a fear ar Harry ag tá cónig ar nál cara te sé le seo sa táú agus imman siad amach go tíar mór. But bhí ní brídú gur grás cimse ag í don eile ach gur séir pláistí acu agus dúirt an doctor léthe caiú an fear seo chun idir tíar mór an na go hospital. So mar sin de ní rud ferris a bhí na daoine a Jimmy agus níl an leor chur luchtar bí ar gunnear bí agus ach go tíra is cinnte na bhfuil breithiúnas a bí a dhéanamh sé mór seo fan na daoine a dán nó Jimmy. But léthe dútha dartha iad síl Harry. So in chapter 14, the greatest danger that ever arrived in the history of Tory, for human set, people have been there in Tory long before they've been in the door. Tory's been settled like for millennia. And between 74 and 1980, there was the possibility that 270 islanders would leave for the mainland, in the same way that 90 islanders left nearby Inishbofin. But inclement weather, lack of infrastructure, dearth of investment, deficiency in services, all combined to adversely affect the population of both islands. In those years, it wasn't easy to decide whether to leave Tory or to stay put Now, Kathleen, Patsy's wife, said to me that when she was discussing the situation at the time with her father, the father says, "Daughter, if you pull that door shut after you, you'll never open it again." And on hearing these words, Kathleen decided to stay. And on the other hand, when I was in Tory in August 2017, putting the finishing touches to the book, I met Breed. And Breed and her husband were born in Tory, but they now live in Falcara, on the Donegal mainland. And they come to Tory during the summer. Now, Breed said that she loved Tory more than anything, but at that time she had 6 young children, and the man in the house was in poor health. And a doctor wrote to her saying she'd be well advised to keep her husband on the mainland and to be near a hospital. So Breed's story sums up the magnitude of the dilemma faced by many islanders in taking what was a very difficult decision. And it must be stated that the book does not judge or criticise or in any way pass any judgment for anyone who stayed or left. But there certainly were dark, black days in Tory's history, and life was really threatened. Settlement was threatened at that time. Now, okay, there's so sin just sin a restella and tour a Tory. I guess you can see now here. There's Tory there. It's almost like a moonscape Tory because all the turf banks have been cut away. And I went out there, it was like a moonscape really. But you can see there, and of course, there's a great old song, you know, the Hills of Donegal, and one of the verses is, "The Tory Island we steamed in style, the mainland we could see, muckish grand with its glittering sand at the hills of Crookatee, but Ernigal Hill, far grander still, stood proudly over all, and I heaved a sigh and began to cry for the Hills of Donegal." So you can see that like sums up that photograph there, brings that kind of little thing to mind. Just leave it there for a moment. Okay. Now, so how are we over time there? Are we okay there? Yep. Okay. No one's fallen asleep yet? Okay. Good sign. Good sign. Now, so re-hurry. Now, ar Nihila J. the van forward, Nigel Nos Tree, Prono an honor of a woe, a jetty of Frono Fatsy, nor a tail a Marie around Harry. Agus ta cultus or shaw in a quick jig. Now, Lorrigan Patsy, Effigan Ree, Sheer, Gahancher Colin Killia, Shehu Kid. Nor a honey Colin Killia, be Bono in the line canal. You know, circle the general day, Agus, there was a giddy lordlish, but Dutch and Dugana, Rahim Misha Shishka Vakama. They're all fan of Mahway, Agus Hug Colin Killia, Honor and Ree, Dun Dugana, Margajasha, She's the Falcher Curd River. Agus and Shin, Tanukal Gaelic. Re as Shan Efik Mar Re agus Latin Rex, Sanskrit Raja, German Reich, so as Shan Efik Shaw, agus V Re or in Vasket War a Gundi Hiri, agus in Hurta no St Kilda in Alabama. Agus Hug and Chidgel Re, Hug she Pibliak Do Fatty, agus Pibliak Don Illan. Agus and Tillanak Shaw, Kulkar Fadik, Patrick Calgurche. Rinse Clar Fake, Agus Lure, Patsy, Suis or Son and Nini, Famaker and Galan. Vi Sacratus Belfarste, Agus Vishagiri, Eda Ver Huel, at Lure Patsy in the Eda. Vi Masasta Gawakame, when your Wylam Party Akar Wani. Shinish Patrick Carl. So, on the 19th of September 1993, the greatest honour possible was extended to Patsy Dan with his election as King of Tory Island. And an account is provided in chapter 15. Now, Patsy traced the office of King and Tory back to Colin Kill's time in the 6th century. The islanders were kind of a bit suspicious, but Dugan says, "I'm going down to welcome him." And they said, "Oh, stay away from that." And then when he did go down to welcome him, then Colin Kill then gave him the title of King of Tory. And that has been there every generation since Harry. Now, the Irish word "re" can of course be traced much further back in history and into the Indo-European Neolithic society of Europe and India. The Gaelic word "re" is cognate with Latin Rex, Sanskrit Raja, German Reich, a kingdom or a state. And few places in Ireland now still have a king. There was one on the Great Blasket in County Kerry. before it was abandoned in 1953. And in Scotland, the extremely remote Gaelic-speaking island of Hirta or St Kilda, 40 miles to the west of there, the Hebrides, also had a king. But that island was abandoned in 1930 as a result of the fall in population from 73 to 36. So once an island population falls below 100, there's a kind of danger dynamic that sets in. Now, there can be no doubt that the title King of Tory has gained a more widespread publicity for Patsy than his previous claims as an artist or a musician. But I think we also must look at him as a social activist. Now, at the time when they were going to try and ban the island, make it a rifle range, or all sorts of talks, Patsy stood up, and Patrick Carroll's cousin, another Patrick Carroll, said they made a programme called Faith, and Patsy spoke up for the people to remain on the island. There was a priest from Belfast, and he was wanting the island to be evacuated, but Patsy spoke out against him. I was happy to see him do that, for I didn't want to see Tory abandoned. So, now, I'm going to talk on Coolra and Yorshaw. Gajira, Kurt Patsy Cast Armse, Durchinger Wylam Scheme of a big law, smack the gear scream again. I was chief as you do and got you English. Helen my life for a lump, I was who much a mum grow. Hug my wrench Courtney or Fatsy a Daddy. I was Willamish the Kid or Cheer Moore, Nights in the Mar and Chumra Buggy Jab Billy, North of Harskid. I was T and McDougall and Milfarshin, was Culterland. Oh, I'm the Hale occurring course Scarch or Fatsy Boston. So Bunnan, Moore, Crumlock and Tearshaw, LaBelle, Afrish, Fatsy. Crinu and Prose, on Ian Agulu, a wine. I was Galore, Amana, Big and Peasy, the Agulabella, Curtis Shad, no bigger, an average of Uncle Hart, but the Bonasa, Galfuck, Latastia, so Bale, Fatsy, a Hannick, the Falk. Ervala wine, the all know her autumn, and see her shinaway creepney of him. I was the curb, Clowell, Candle, Alawa, my yield carrot, Fatsy, Dan McGrory. Or go yella, the kennel the cooey on him. Now, but Fletcher J, the on the Gesha, the Glore, Fatsy, her the Plienta, I was on the Taffy, I was Fissicum, cut war wide the Nam, grown Fuckle Pio, a Glemny Lish, or average paragraph no Yahana, Clowell, Jira has Jasso Yor. Renew fueled and uckle of his wash in her mask. Biomi, Ihe Yevri, Tivla Lampa, and Yela, Ibra Malfarsha, a Chahin, a golden a Taffy Shaw. I was Biomi Shin Lula watching Howry, and we your walk on see Greg, no Sakakano, and may on see your Kierna or Bunnagle. But other wine, they gork or Hunt the Manwara, but no Nevenui and Tenerife, no na Graciosa. Vio Olagan of the Lampty, I was Glor Chen Fatsy, Domahir Hanin Sharash Katari. I was Ganagos or Dawn, is even Beha and Scotland. So, as I say, the background of the book was that Patsy came to me in 2013 and said, look, I would like to have a life story, but I can't write in Irish. And you couldn't have done this in English. Okay, Patsy speaks good English, but really, Neil barely he just doesn't like English. He's a second language learner, really. Do you know what I mean? So his main life experience, work, music, play has all been done through Gaelic. Do you know what I mean? But he's unable to write this language, so he asked me then to help, and I was a very convert then. So we would I was in the Tory then, and we had a good old. I'll just click on something. See. There's that town. There's the town. So these are the two big emblems of Tory here. The town cross here is Coptic Cross and St Colin Krill's tower. Stay there about that. Now, so I went into the Tory State Hotel and started interviewing Patsy, and then I was meet him in Gorta Harkin, Chalville in the lounge, or McDougall's house in Belfast, or Culterland. Now, the overwhelming majority of the work is taken straight from Patsy's speech. Now, sometimes it was gathered from a single interview, or on other occasions from separate interviews. And it was all blended together, but basically all the words there are from Patsy's mouth. But in Tory there are two nurses, and they're like 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. And there's a fellow, Francis Marman, he says, how you doing? He says, whatever you do, he says, keep him off the county council. So, I ended up like, I was a column killed in the 6th century, and Patsy would go on about the county council. Sometimes you get great little tips along the way, so I had to try, okay, Patsy, we'll come to the county council. What about a column killed in the 6th century here, long before there's any such thing as, of course, a county council. So, as I say now, and I also didn't want to change the language, you know, like you've got this kind of central standard language, so I was trying to try and leave the language really for the flavour that Patsy had. So, in one major way, I was delighted that I managed to complete the work and to place it into Patsy's hands. She was a very dear friend, I have to say. Another way, I kind of missed it, for it was an immense pleasure over the years to listen to Patsy's voice on the recordings. I know that for the most time, the spoken word leapt straight onto the printed page as a sentence, paragraph, or a whole page indeed. For the word was made flesh and dwelt amongst us. Many's a winter night by lamplight I used to spend in Belfast after a day's work, making my way through the recordings. And many's the early summer morning on a balcony in Greece or Catalonia, I was engaged with the same task, a wee coffee and a wee cigar, you know, just to lighten the load a bit. And it was one thing to look at the calm waves of the Mediterranean, but when out in Tenerife or La Graciosa in the Canary Islands, the huge swell of the heaving Atlantic Ocean and Patsy's voice would ever draw me closer to Tory. And with a one word of a lie, and to quote the old Gaelic poem, how pleasant the life of the scholar. So, and it just, so, and there's us, all work and no play makes Jack a dull lad. So that's us after the first full day's interview in there. They went to the social club. So all in all, the work consists of a description of the main events of the life of Patsy Dan Rogers, in his own words. And I hope that people will enjoy the benefit of this account. And it will stand not merely as a kind of personal tribute to Patsy, but as a first-hand account of life on this island. So, Friedges Frieds mar sin, tá Kershis or Ward Emity Heel Patsy Dan, and the Ocklahain, against a Yorshin, agus tá Rasúl with her salt agus Turva As, agus Gashasi she, Hanawain mar Kershis Patsy Hain, ach Kershis Fubble Harry, agus and Winchavi Yaku le Farige, le Kjoldi, Patsara, Abi Bonohari Fati le Kjoldi, maar in this Bafinia, you know, Erik Kjol in this Bafinia, because of you, Steadari, agus, and this, Sul, Gamarhi and traditions of Mimasik and Monoog, Ershin. But at this point, I'll probably, I'll take questions, of course, but I just would like to bring this number of the Donnabhain lectures to a close, but also remind us that this is like Shafton the Gaelic, the Irish Language Week, and it always takes people with insight and drive and vision to know that this language is valuable, and it's not just, you know, caught up in the past. This can be part of our contemporary future. And oh, by the way, yes, before, I will conclude actually with there's a poem that Patsy did die then. There was a poem I had written. Now this poem is written in the old strict meters of the Gaelic schools from the 12th to the 17th centuries. Thanks so much, sir. No mind. So you've got a copy there. So I'm not bothered with the English version. Yes, you have that, but I want to just while I'm showing this mar cloch carn macharad agus Sean sé na trúla Tory na Don fartly Fatty Dan McGrory the Art Hughes Journal 4 Gabriel's a hot day na trúla Tory na Don Ellen na Noran Vignon na crua Keston Cascan Vree gan festa o Wasan Vartri och gesúgnach gan Telani gan Padre Grima Grury Faishku na Lau ni Charfahach Jark ní sao na suagnach. Gian shark cannot suchach o fubble hurry a howla. Near feinwer doorglon la, greenwer gra is surka shirvio. Gis danas Patsy a bortach, wincher jena lomgartach. Art near war marushal is gort a yarrow le gerspal. Mur ahar is mak amach, anga ha curlus curach. Fesker gan callan clun war, ik breeg nam soen nam malan wior. nar vinnig iad sa curachul, a muir mur sa warwool. Tran ar gastan riad dam, bio bad lasta de ski skadam. Anu hugging nar hjol salt, ard idnus oring pummel. Kause gan kjol the ball, and dause bio as barkjol. Derry kill assassin see, blue caragilis fatsi, minig living less of raw, got jesta hiving salt saw. Shamachas hurry, leshes ling, baller bemen ardving, oan and yelle is ihe cheege, dele gie de geen An leeg nief les by jelle, airu chalm geen kille, nach oor an groeis de rie, is sé is koesle toere darry, is bronach torrig en troor, gan patsy bochten vinchoi, ni bio an killen mach raar, brad kjo an illan oegnach. Tosta, dua, dorrahan la, trua oige fyrres veelvra, groom en speer gallahas glien, sis leer va halla tromfien. Hurry, luher ni leer, keechlu grenje fi groom speer. Na crua kam, bron wood an wash, van room goen en arm oorwash. Da katsdien, geen, kelem ra, na Sean Donnesus doetla, na bocht mee is groemer megroei, agus worms en oerdoei. Balle her is hier fi broon, fi olligan is fi ochon, o was en rie, dolly ma on, true I Tory na drenton. Kan maar heen.
Public guest. That right?
Am I re-ella bothering you?
The guest no, and may re-ella, will there be another
Am I
thing?
re-ella any offensive bothering you?
Yeah, well, now, there's a big question now about will there be another king in Tory. Agus, you had a scale of beer mark before, but Tassulam Gamay re-ella, I hope there will be another king. No barning kinship kid. Maar wie ben er wat nabelen? Wie nabelen van maar one in is die Tory. You know, the island's got about 135 at the minute, you know, so it needs to pull together now, and there was a bit of the boat, the government promised in this boat, and then they given this old rust bucket, parted up, and then there was some liked it, some didn't like it, and I just hope now that, you know, things settle down again, really, because it'd be very hard to fill. Patio has gone to every people coming in, you know, and the whole, so we see them like her fancy of being a G Tory. Obviously, character that special to Iggy this in the ano. August, assuming the may be in on, but not a circumvention. The king before Patsy was Padley Gog, my brewery. And he married a woman from Belfast. And my father worked with her people that they were Dickies. But when old champ, when Sam Fadley died, the accordion player Paul McBrewery, Paul Rogers, said to Patsy, look, this division's dying out, we'll go on to the and then he said, well, the people have to elect me first, so they elected him. And I just hope now that the Sulam Garahi share Bugs Bachar Garahi share Mar Shaw Shan Grass Afur Boas and Alban August and Yer and Akadam Bio Adori. So this is an old tradition. It died in Scotland, it died in Ireland, except for Tory Island. So I sincerely hope there will be a new king. Long live the king.
Estella, another question?
Yes.
When there is a king, is there a queen? Are there princes and princesses?
Well, there was actually a woman called Nabla, and in fact, there was a. In the 20s, there was a report of this Queen and Tory in the New York Times in the 20s, and she was about 3'6", and she was telling them all what to do, where to get to the seaweed and stuff. So there were queens, but mainly it was a king. But you know, it'd be good to get a follow with someone there to welcome people and just it's. You know, I mean, one of my old lecturers, Noel Hamilton, went to there in the 60s, and recorded great, fantastic songs from there, and it's you kind of hope that the young people will keep the language alive, because the thing that sets Tory apart, like I'd say the two places that I've been to where the language was struck was Inishman in County Galway and Tory in Donegal. Shin da go Gaelic up to Honeycomb do could be. But now with like the internet and stuff, I guess younger people, you kind of hope really. Like I'm doing this research in Gaelic Scotland and Ireland, going around asking these questions, about 400 questions, and I want to have this big archive, of Gaelic speech from Lewis down to Kerry. But like in Scotland, the language is really disappearing very fast, and in large swathes of Ireland it's also disappearing very fast. So time is a big kinchin-ish, go minimum like Bradley's government's talking about taking Irish off the secondary school. So how can you have a nation state which has got the Irish as the first national language, and you're not going to teach it in schools, like? So, like the Irish government has got response now. Thankfully it's been recognised as an EEC working language. But really, we need a lot more than lip service, we need action, we need people taught, and it's like no government has the right to deny children what's their rightful heritage, what's their rightful linguistic history and stuff. And I would say also that, like the reason why Barra Donnabhain set up Dalton the Gaelic, when you go away from home, suddenly you realise what you've got. If you'd have stayed in Cork, you probably says, Irish is fine. Like you come to New York and you see, like, you go to Spanish there, there's Chinatown, people are speaking their own language, and suddenly that heightens then your sense of awareness. So I think that this lecture, I'm very pleased and very proud to have been able to give it. But and part of the reason I am was that, like, I really like what Barra Donnabhain stood for. Do you know what I mean? What he endeavoured to do, like, and we can turn. If we don't believe we can turn things around, we shouldn't be here. Like, of course we can turn things around. I was Cahimage Ruddy a Hump to Heart, like the May, Techi, Egan Gaelic, Hanawan and Yerin, but a mass Beal Verike.
By your art. And your file or fee $2. The book is available for $25. It's bilingual, so you get it up here.
Please join us downstairs for class 1. And that society is really interesting since 1947.
It's a kilo. Yeah. Well, if you allow Don't touch the very Scotland, you know,
A March shock thing. Tuesday week.